Hello, and welcome to my review of Diary of a Haunting by M. Verano. I bought this book for $4 at Books & Co., and honestly, that sums up my experience with this. To be even more, blatant, the cover is the coolest thing about this book. The best thing that I can really say about it is that I agree with a lot of the Goodreads reviews. It really says a lot when to understand the book you have to read reviews of other people and watch videos of people talking about it, because I was so confused by the ending. This book didn't take me that long to read, but honestly, it's very short. This book is 313 pages, including pictures that are full pages that count as those pages, and it's in diary entry format. So it's not like full pages, it's very short. And I don't know what to say. As you can see, the tabs on the side of the book, there are a lot. Green, which is prevalent there, it means I don't like it, and pink means I thought it was stupid. So, this book has a lot. So let's unpack what really happened. So, the book is about, Diary of a Haunting is about Paige and her family who moved to Idaho from California after her parents get divorced. And the first thing that really struck me as interesting, that caught my attention, was that Paige decided to look up pictures of Idaho, which I was like, that's normal. But then she moved to Idaho and was upset to find that the pictures didn't match what Idaho really looked like. And I don't know. I thought that was really stupid. For one, because you can't expect something to look exactly like the pictures because it wasn't where the pictures were taken. Paige is supposed to be 15 and she writes and speaks like she's 7. So, just to make it even more clear, I gave this book 2 stars on Goodreads, so that should say something. I didn't really like this book at all. But yeah, it was good for 3/4 of the way through, and then the ending is what really threw me, which I've noticed happened with just about everyone. This book has 3.37 stars on Goodreads, which is low for Goodreads, so it's not very good. And part of this book, part of me not liking this book was on my fault. I didn't read the editor's note at the beginning, which states that this is based off of a true story. And I don't know how that makes me feel. I kind of figured it out after a while, but that's okay. So if you want to read it, go for it. Because just the best way to explain what kind of happens is they move to Idaho and strange things starts happening, and that's really all I can say without spoiling it. But really, it shouldn't matter. I don't recommend it, but if you want to go read it, go for it. It's very short. It's a quick read, but stay for more spoilers. So really, the things that actually happened consisted of a fly infestation, a spider infestation, brother acting possessed and strange, a bad reception and strange phone problems, and misplaced items that appeared again in duplicates. And that's about it. To really go in depth, when Paige first arrives at her house, she notices there are a ton of flies and a lot of spiders. And she starts counting the spiders, which I thought was stupid. But that's because she has a phobia of them, so I was like, okay, whatever. So she did that, which was weird. And then her brother Logan starts acting very strange. And by strange, what really happens is he starts acting kind of possessed. He can't sleep. He starts appearing in a room at night. He starts writing letters, and then he would write the same letter again. And that was really weird. And so he starts seeing a doctor, and the doctor tells him, I don't know. And then there's this weird incident where there's words on the walls with Paige's only friend. So she goes to school and she becomes friends with the supposed weird girl, Chloe. Chloe is a very forgettable character. She has almost no point in this book except for making Paige do things that she doesn't want to do. If there's something that Paige wants to find out but she won't do it herself, Chloe's only purpose is to be like, hey, we're going to do this. And then she'll push things and make people uncomfortable. And that's her only thing that she's ever used for. She shows up maybe 6 times in the book total. I didn't count that, but around there. And so, um, the brother is acting weird, and he starts doing all this stuff, and eventually they have this incident where Chloe comes over, and Paige and Logan are in Logan's room. And then there are words on his walls in the wood, and so they take pictures of it, and Logan has a seizure. And so they start thinking that Logan's like has like epilepsy or something, and he's going crazy and all this stuff. And along with that, the phones are acting weird. They'll send duplicate messages or garbled text messages or wrong messages to wrong people. And there's this one incident that was really creepy, in my opinion, where Paige missed a phone call from her mom, and then later on, when she's with her mom and her mom's like cooking or something, she gets the call and she hears her mom talking to her, but it's obviously her mom's not doing anything, and so it was disturbing, and that's about the most that really happens along that line, and that's really it. And so it kind of felt like the book was kind of like building these things up, being creepy and like what's going to happen, and then it just needed an ending, and so it just kind of started doing something, and what happened was not good. So I also need to mention a couple other characters that are important. So eventually, at one point in the beginning of the book, Paige goes to her basement and finds out that there is a boy living there who she finds very attractive, but turns out to be gay. That's not really that important, but his name is Raphael, or Raph for short, and he just kind of lives in the basement and is the son of the mom who owns the house, but the house is in Raph's name. So he just lives there in the basement. And then Paige's family is renting it, so they live there too. And then also Arthur, who becomes close with Paige's mom, and they begin developing a relationship because Paige's mom divorced her dad. And so those are the only two other characters that really matter at the moment. Like Raph, he always has this kind of thing where he knows more about the house because he's been living there more than Paige, like longer. And Paige confronts him trying to figure out what is actually going on. And he says that he doesn't want to talk about it and all this stuff, so she keeps prodding, and she finds out that there's this thing that he's been researching about a cult called Pronoica. And he's been researching it with this professor. And Raph is a college dropout, so he's friends with the professor and stuff. So they go and look at the stuff, and she finds out about Pronoica, and then they have to leave because Raph isn't allowed in the library or something. They get back, and then I remember Paige is in her room sleeping, and then she wakes up one night, and Logan is sitting on her bed and tells her that he sits there between the hours of 3 a.m. and 4 a.m. to pick spiders off of her as she sleeps. And she's so freaked out by this, she goes down to Raph's room and asks him to sleep on his couch in the apartment. He says sure. So she lays on the couch and she decides to sit on his bed to watch him, and she sits next to him. And then I guess she blacks out and then comes back or something, but it's there's no foreshadowing. It just kind of, she's like a bolt of energy or something. It's really weird. And she goes in the kitchen and she sees Raph talking on the phone, and then he's all concerned, and he's telling this Monty person to come to the house, and she asks him what's wrong, and he cowers in fear, and apparently he's cut and hurt, and it's kind of implied that Paige did it, but it's not really certain at the time anyways. And then the next day, or later on I guess, this guy Montague Verano shows up to the house, and it turns out that is the professor that Raph has been working on the Pronoica project with. And so they investigate the house and find out that there's an entire other floor and in between the two floors that they know of. And so they break into this. And I just want to mention, I don't know how the family wouldn't notice that. The way they find this out is they realize that the windows on the outside don't line up with the layout that they know of. So, there's maybe 3 sets of windows, but they only have 2 floors with the 2 sets of windows. And so they realize they're maybe there's another floor they don't know about, which there is. What they first do is they open up Logan's room's ceiling. And his room has always been really weird. It's had a constant buzzing noise. It has the strange walls. and the worst cell reception and everything. And so they break open the ceiling, and a large swarm of spiders come out. So that's where the spiders have been coming from. And so that made sense. So Paige blacks out, and then she comes to. So they go to another room, and they open up that ceiling and find the other floor. Then there's a door, and they open that door all together, and they go inside, and they find a padded room with a trunk. And they open up the trunk. And the trunk is full of letters about Pronoica. So what we know about Pronoica is that it is about a cult led by this guy Williamson, who promised people good spirits and good karma if they like paid him money. And so a lot of people did it, and they experienced good results. And they sent him good letters talking about good results, and that's all you can find concerning Pronoica. But what they found in the trunk were the letters of the people who received bad karma. And the way it worked is he would take karma, good karma from people, and other people would get bad karma because he took their good karma. And so it's the letters of like hate and terrible things that are happening to them because their good karma's gone. And they were hidden away so then people would still believe in his cult, and no one would think that it was a sham. And so Raph and Verano are all excited about the letters that they found. It's great, and they tore like past the pads and found more letters. And then Raph opens one of them, and a ball of hair and bloody fingernails fall out. And so that makes them all go downstairs because they don't want to be in there anymore. And they have the letters on the kitchen table, and the mom says they should burn them to get the evilness out of the house. And Verano says no, they're a historical item. I agreed with Verano in this situation, because I think that they're historical piece of they're historical documents. They should be like preserved, and I don't understand how they had an evil property. It didn't make sense. By the way, Verano is the one who wrote this book in a way. He supposedly had compiled Paige's diaries and made them into this book, so that's why he's also in the story. And so, anyways, Raph says, I own this house, I'm going to do the research for them here, because Montague's right. And so Verano leaves, and Raph says they're going to burn them. So they burn the letters, and that makes them all feel better. And, like, Logan sleeps, and Paige is, like, happy and feels blissful, and then Raph goes down to go to bed. And then the next day happens, and Paige wakes up, and she goes to check on Logan, and he's having a seizure again, and she's confused. And she, like, props him up and does the correct stuff, and she goes downstairs into the kitchen and finds another letter, and Verano approaches her with more letters, and she's confused, and Arthur comes down wounded, Chloe comes down scared, and so is the mother. Paige asks what happened, and Chloe explains that Paige killed Logan and Raph and attacked Arthur. And so they decide to throw her in the room that they found with the trunk in there and keep her there. And then a wildfire comes by, so Paige jumps out of the window and into the fire and dies. And that's how the book ends. Because apparently Paige was going crazy the entire time. So that doesn't make any sense, because the letters don't have anything to do with the house. That's why I'm very confused by this book. So if anyone actually knows the answer, please tell me of, like, what's happening. Like, I have a hard time writing down what I think, of collecting what I think, because it doesn't make sense. They're the letters that people wrote to Williamson, the one who led the cult, about the bad karma, but they don't have anything to do with the demonic house. And the way I know that is because when Williamson led the clinic, he led a clinic in the house, for Pronoica, and it caused the spirits that were in the house to possess his daughter, Amelia. And because it showed that there were bad spirits, and a lot of people saw it, then he had to lock her away in a room, and the room was where they found the trunk, in the hidden floor. And the problem with that is that the house doesn't have anything to do with Pronoica. Like, they held the clinic there, but the letters were written because of the bad karma that Pronoica brought. So I don't understand why burning the letters would do anything with the house. because the demons and spirits were clearly already there before Pronoica existed. And I understand that Amelia died in that house, in that floor, and so she was the one who was supposedly haunting Logan, I think. Then why are other demons there? Like, why do the letters have anything to do with anything? Because the letters aren't tied to Amelia, the letters aren't tied to the house, they're tied to Williamson and the cult he created. And the house isn't tied to the cult other than they held a clinic there once. So it doesn't make any sense. And also, the whole twist is supposed to be that Paige was going crazy the entire time, and she was the one who was acting strange and doing all the strange things because she was the one who activated the evil spirits in the house. Now, I can totally get behind her being the one that activated them. I'm still not sure how, but I can understand that. But how was she going crazy? Like, Logan was having the sleeping problems. Logan was the one who was acting weird, and watching her and doing strange things and, like, playing video games with no actual video games. And then Paige turns out to be a psycho killer. Like, that doesn't make any sense. There's no correlation. There's no foreshadowing. And, like, sure, there doesn't always need to be foreshadowing, but there needs to be some kind of build-up. It just kind of happens, and it doesn't make any sense. And I could go on all day about how this book just doesn't add up. But, honestly, like, there's just no point. It just doesn't add up at all. Like, there's characters I haven't even mentioned that still don't make sense. Like, the doctor, Clyde, who supposedly treated Logan but didn't treat Logan and was supposed to be treating Paige, and the one who didn't believe in Paige at all and was concerned. I don't understand. Like, the book just kind of took a turn and just kind of decided to end. Like, it was building up great, and I was interested. I thought Paige was kind of stupid, but about 3/4 of the way through, I thought it was pretty good. And then once it started doing the cult thing, I didn't understand. I was really confused. Like, they just kind of brought up the daughter out of nowhere, and then everyone seemed like they knew what was going on, but they didn't talk about it. And they didn't talk about how Paige supposedly attacked Raph at all. And what also was terrible was the fact that the whole family and the friends never brought up to Paige that she was acting weird and that any of this was her fault. Like, no one ever said anything to her about it. And that just really was really stupid. Like, I would have thought that, like, if they cared about her at all, they would have told her that she was acting weird. But they didn't. They didn't say anything. And so you didn't find out until the end. Like, Chloe even said, like, since I first met you, I knew you had some strange energy about you. And, like, that didn't add up. It didn't make sense. And the telephone things are never explained. The flies are never explained. Logan being weird is just kind of, like, correlated to the daughter, but, like, Amelia supposedly was, like, activated by Paige, so I don't know why Paige wouldn't have been, like, possessed too. I'm not sure. If anyone knows, please let me know. I hope you like this review. Please subscribe for more, like, comment, you know, all that stuff. But, please let me know any books that you would like me to read. I love reading. I wouldn't mind a suggestion. But thanks, and I'll see you next time.